What's good with the YouTube? It's your boy Tez, and today we got some stuff to talk about. All right, if you here, you saw the thumbnail, you kind of know what the topic of discussion is. But before we get into that, let me start with a few things. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. My name is Tez. My real name is Martez. I'm in the middle of something called Vidathon. I am on day 17, and what that is, obviously inspired by Casanet. That is a challenge I made for myself to upload a video, a piece of content every day for the entire month of December. One thing that recurred to me recently was that when I first started this, I was like, I want to make quality content. And I ain't gonna lie, around like day 14, 15, I was just like, I just got to get something out. So I want to return to quality content. So I'm not really sure, I play games, I do reactions, I do skits. I'm not really sure what type of channel this truly is yet. But I do know that I have a lot of takes and a lot of opinions, and not all of them are always right, but I do feel like they are valid. So, as you saw by the thumbnail, NIL is out of control. But before we get into that, let me also say, some of you that are new that don't know me might be like, who is this dude? Why does he think that he has the right to talk about what's good, what's bad, or talk about how a player feels, a coach feels, blah, blah, blah. Like, what makes it give him the right? So, like I said, Martez played for the Missouri Tigers from 2019 and 2023. 3-year captain, 3-year starter, preseason All-SEC, but that ain't nothing, man. That's in the past. We focus about now. So I just want to say, I'm just saying that to say I also started college football before the NIL era and also finished in the prime of the NIL era. Okay, so I got to see a little bit of both worlds. I got to experience both worlds. So everything that I'm going to say is my opinion and kind of what I've seen and what I've heard through talking to my friends who are still playing and also talking to people who played before me. All right, this is all gathered research. I'm not just coming on here to yap. So without further ado, wait, one more thing real quick. Let's hear a word from today's sponsor. We ain't got no sponsors, but we gonna get there, I promise. So anyways, let's get straight into it. So for people who do not know, I believe the first year NIL was ready to go for the season. First of all, what is NIL? NIL is name, image, and likeness. This is the ability for players to be able to use their name, their image, their likeness to their benefit. For so long, the NCAA made billions, I'm gonna get into that later, off of the hard work of these athletes who a lot of times are working jobs to pay their bills, are struggling financially because they're helping out family members and loved ones back home in their hometowns. And they ain't balling, they balling on a very, very thin budget. So in 2020, I think the NCAA and the Supreme Court or whatever, who makes the decisions, they started having ramblings of, what if we give these players some ability to market themselves, or do this, do that, which was amazing. I think that was a milestone that needed to be had in college football, because like I said, these players are like, one thing that people don't realize, right, is football is a game where you could become paralyzed, right? So, story time. There was a draft pick 3 years ago by the name of Derek Stingley Jr. First round pick. I think he was 3rd overall to the Texans. Derek Stingley's grandfather, who I think his also name was Derek Stingley, played a football game. He played for the Bills, and he actually got paralyzed on a hit. Paralyzed for the rest of his life. There's actually a really funny Chappelle Show skit where they talk about his dad. It's actually really funny. Look it up. I think it's Charlie Murphy is talking about how they were in the club with Derek Stingley's grandfather. It's crazy. But anyways, so Derek Stingley's grandfather gets hurt. Then a month later, my grandfather, the original Manuel, Fred Manuel, crazy athlete out of California, played for the Oregon Ducks, and then played for the 49ers. He had a hit where he chipped something of his spine, a piece of his spine. He chipped it. And he decided to walk away from the game because of what happened to Derek Stingley's grandfather a month prior. So it's crazy how this all happens full circle, and generations later. I mean, I played against Derek Stingley, so it's crazy. But anyways, I say all that to say, this is a game where these kids who are out here can literally lose everything, putting their body, mind, brain on the line. You only get one brain, bro. Like, we see these people like Tua, Trevor Lawrence, like, bro, like, you only get one brain. And once it's gone, you cannot get it back. You cannot live without it. So people are putting everything on the line. And you tell me you can't even give them a check for it? I don't know. But anyways, back to the topic of discussion, okay? So, NIL gets passed in 2021. That was the first year that I saw it. And the way that it was advertised to us as student athletes was that you were able to build your likeness and do things in collaboration with businesses that lead to equity, okay? So I'll pop up a few ones that I had, like Boom right here. Also had this. And then I had a bunch of like other deals where I would sign footballs and stuff like that. But you guys see, it's all transactional, right? I'm doing a service, and then I am going to be reprimanded for doing that service. So it's all fair. You work for something, you get something in return, okay? That was when it first started. Then the next year, my senior year at Mizzou, that's when we started to see it kind of shift a little bit, okay? So in that second year, we started to see, we were getting checks. Let me watch how I say this, because I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble. We were at times getting checks for NIL, and the actions that we were taking to do stuff sometimes weren't being taken. We were just getting checks. And don't even try to come at me on some snitch stuff, because ain't no way in hell we was the only team in the SEC who was experiencing things like this, or in the country, by the way. These kids are getting a bunch of money under the table, and guess what? Hello, they've been doing it since before NIL was around. They've been doing this, okay? This has been happening. This is nothing that's new. People have been getting dirty money forever. But you started to see my senior year where I was like, okay, well, I guess you don't really have to do some type of service. You just got to show up, I guess, okay? So after that, I graduate from Mizzou, and that next year, people start getting paid. Like, the money that I was making my senior year from NIL would have been like a third string person that next year. If I was a team captain and a 3-year starter and I stayed one more year, I would have been making upwards of probably $15,000 to $20,000 a month, just in NIL checks. That doesn't include my stipend. So you might be wondering, damn, how the hell is this possible? What are they doing to make this type of money, right? So this is where we're going to get into why NIL is getting out of control. Before we get into that, let's talk about the positives, right? Because I was there. I was an athlete. I was broke as hell. I remember hitting the Como Mall with about $200 to my name and balling on a budget. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of my teammates did too. So before we get into it, let's talk about why it's a good thing, right? So NIL is important because, like I said, the NCAA was a all money in, no money out. The school and the football team and the basketball team at these universities, they're who are responsible for selling tickets and building revenue to get stadium upgrades. They're the ones who are responsible to get new jerseys every year. You have to earn that money in order to get that money. That's why in college sports, you'll see sports like football, and then you'll see sports like men's baseball, where they ain't making as much money for the university, so they're going to be put on the back burner, right? Right? Okay, so let's keep going. So this is important because the NCAA was all money in, no money out. That is why you see the NCAA getting sued now, because they literally made billions and billions of dollars and they didn't want to pay anybody, right? And the big reason for the NCAA, their case was this is an amateur league. This is not a professional league. There is no pay to play, nothing like that, right? Wrong, okay? That's wrong. First of all, we've seen this year with how these analysts and people on First Take and everything, how they come at these college kids. This is no longer an amateur sport at all. You see college kids getting ripped on their performance when before, do this for me. Watch any college football game prior to, let's say, 2020, right? Any college football prior to 2020. This is something I always watch as a defensive player. If I'm playing defensive back and I give up a touchdown and I'm in the NFL, the second I give up that touchdown, they're going to show the celebration, they're going to show the quarterback, and then they're going to show me, the person who made the mistake. In college sports, because it was an amateur league, right, they will show the celebration, show the quarterback, and they might show the head coach, but they're not going to show the player because they don't want to put that type of pressure on a kid, right? That's what they said. This year, that has gone out the window. These kids are getting talked about like they are mother effing Dak Prescott. No hate to my Cowboys fans, but your boy is trash. They're getting talked about like they are a starting quarterback in the NFL making $3.2 million, which sometimes they are. So now we have established that if we're going to pay them like they're pros, we can talk to them like they're pros. So how is this still an amateur sport? Let's take it one step further. So another reason why the NCAA does not want this to be considered a professional league is because they have a long history of hoeing athletes. When I say hoeing, that means screwing over for people who do not speak the slang. Okay, let's just put it that way. What I mean by that is they have a long history of screwing over people, like destroying. He had to choose between his YouTube channel and his football career. There was a big story about a safety that played at Clemson that was taking care of his little brother out of his dorm room, and they almost made him quit football because he was making money on the side. There's a long list. Do your research. A long list of people of the NCAA hoeing kids, right? So the reason that they don't want the kids to be able to say it's a professional league, because what does the NFL have? They have the NFLPA. Okay, what that means is they have a players union where they can unite and come together with rules and standards that they are going to stand by, and if they are not respected, they are not going to play. And if you think they capping, ask the baseball league. How them sit outs went for them, right? So if we name this a professional league, now these kids can get together and they can say, guess what, coach? We only doing an hour practice. And ain't no conversation. We only doing an hour practice. Guess what, coach? We only doing 2 live tackle days in fall camp. That's it. We ain't doing no more. And what can a coach say? A coach can say absolutely nothing, because this is a players union. There are going to be a contractual agreement with that, of course. Maybe 2 live practices in fall camp means that there's an extra practice, or there's ways to even it out so both sides get something out of it. But that's what the NCAA does not want, because as soon as kids, a big reason that when you saw that a union was scary for the NCAA was back in 2020 when COVID hit. You had a lot of kids who wanted to play, and you had a lot of kids who respectably were like, if there is a global pandemic, why the hell am I out here tackling people and getting they sweat and spit in my mouth when I hit them? Doesn't my life matter? And guess what started there? We had the Pac-12 start a players union. With that players union, these kids came together and they said that we are not playing unless this, and this happens. Where's that players union now? It ain't nowhere to be found. It was shot down in like 2 months and it was gone. Because I was looking forward to joining it. I wanted to speak for my teammates. I was a team captain. I felt like that I had points that mattered. And the next thing you know, I said, hey, how can I get in touch with those Pac-12 kids? Woo! They done. They took their ass out like motherfucking Men in Black. All right? So that's positive number 1. It holds the NCAA accountable. Positive number 2. A big part of the NIL era and what makes it out of control is the transfer portal. I think that NIL is good. I think that the transfer portal is also good. I think the combination of both together is a hot effing mess. Okay? What I mean by that, when you give kids the opportunity to now go to a school, they don't end up playing, they can go to a different school, but not only that, they can go to the highest bidder. So now you have these programs that have all this money. Ohio State, who has a $20 million NIL roster. I wonder why they went 12-1. Duh. I can tell you why. Because they have all this money invested in their players. Duh. So when you combine those things together, what you start is free agency. Exactly what we have in the NFL. But this is an amateur league. Now we have players who are not playing, transferring, going to the highest bidder. But unlike the NFL, and what makes it even more toxic is there's no contracts. There's absolutely no contracts for these players to stick to a school. In the NFL, yeah, you're going to get paid and you can get traded, but you got to play all your games and all your years on your contract. In NCAA, I can be a 5-star recruit, start the season, play 6 games, get benched and my spot taken, transfer out after they paid me $5 million. What? This is insane. Like, this is utter and complete anarchy. It is crazy. So And that leads me to my second point, okay? Or maybe it's my third. I'm kind of losing track. I think it's my third. This leads me to my third point. With the transfer portal, okay, so I might sound like an old head here to some of my college athletes, and for that, I accept it. I don't mind. But also, I only graduated college in 2023, so I'm only 2 years removed. So chill, slow your roll, my boy. Slow your roll. But anyways, I watched a documentary this weekend called The Swamp Kings. It's on Netflix. Great 4-episode series. Talks about the Florida Gators and their national championship teams. But one thing that just stuck with me when I was there was one word: brotherhood. There was a scene where Tim Tebow had to decide if he wanted to come back to Florida, and he was like, I want to graduate with Spikes, somebody he came in with. I watched an interview from Cam Newton, who was also on that team. He said, like, the Pouncey twins, Aaron Hernandez, these were his brothers. Like, the word brotherhood was around over and over and over again. I'm from an era when you committed to a school on signing day or before signing day, you were committing to stick to that school through thick and thin for 4 years, okay? Now we see an era where these kids post a picture that says committed, and then 6 months later they're sitting out of bowl games. They're sitting out of regular season games. UNLV quarterback, but you're so committed to your team. There's like one thing that is always going to be great to me is like I always have brothers that I can call at any time when I need something, at any time, and they're going to be there for me. They're going to support me whatever I need. We're going to get to a point in this college football era where these kids are not going to be able to build brotherhood because they're on a new team every week. Man, I'm 2 weeks removed from Mizzou football. I went back in their locker room this year, bro, and I didn't recognize but 3 people. I'm like, what the F? What happened to all the freshmen that I got to know when I was a senior, when I was a junior? They're all over the place. And don't get me wrong, the transfer portal is a great thing. You know why? It's one of the positives actually on this list, because coaches can do it. Coaches can up and shake at the drop of a dime. They don't give a damn. Look at my boy, and he's one of my good coaches. He coached me, Barry Odom. My man just went, 9-3 or 10-2, one of the things at UNLV, and then the very next year he takes a job at Purdue. That was 1-11. Like, these coaches can up and leave on you at any time. So I get why it's fair for players to be able to do it. But what does that do to this sport? The beautiful thing about college football, I love college football. I don't love NFL football. That's not me hating or anything like that. I just think college football is so much more exciting. I think NFL playoff football is fun as hell. But I think week to week, I would much rather watch these college kids bust their behind to go pro versus NFL players who are on week 2 and they got an 18-week season. They ain't giving a damn about none of this shit, right? So that leads me to my next point. These kids are working so hard to get to that next level. So what does NIL teach them, right? NIL teaches them that in 3 years of transferring, you can make close to $1 million. After they've already made that, what is the motivation for them to keep going? Because a lot of them are only going to the league to help their family out of their situation or to get rich. But if you get rich when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, why do I give a damn if I keep playing, man? I ain't gonna say no names here at all, but there was a 5-star kid on a team, and this is all true story, a 5-star kid on a team who was literally getting paid close to $1 million to redshirt. Another problem, we are paying these kids tons of money to redshirt, to not dress out one game. We are paying them close to $1 million, 5-star. I don't give a damn what you are. If you that damn good, get your ass on this field. And if you're not ready to get on this field, give me back some of that damn money so I can give it to somebody else, right? So there's a 5-star kid. The kid is late to workouts for the 8th time. He gets there. The coach says, blah, 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 going off on him, stuff like that. This kid says, man, I'm $1 million nigga. I don't need this shit. This kid is 18 years old. The entitlement is insane. But this is the standard that we are creating for this league now. We are creating kids who don't want to work for squat. And guess what? Not everybody's going to go pro. So what are you going to do when you get out of here? You have job interviews and you don't get it. You going to slide and shake career pass or something like that? Or are you going to do something different? Or if you apply for a promotion and you don't get it, you going to just quit your company and be out? No, bro, it's about hard work. That's the thing that this game teaches us. But it ain't teaching us that no more. Because there's always a place. If you are a D1 athlete and you are not playing at your school, there is some school somewhere in the country at D1, D2, D1 AA that you can play at. So people are going to say, fuck it, and I'm out. And that's where I think it's toxic, bro. I think that we have to hold these kids to the standard that you have to earn this. This league that you play in, there's a reason. There was a stat before I graduated high school that, like, out of kids on your football team in high school, 8% will go play college football. Out of those 8%, 1% will actually play, and then like 0.2% will play in the NFL. Now that stat has changed. Everybody can play somewhere, which is good. It's good for the game. It's good for these people to be able to get reps. But at the same time, it is not good. I don't think it's good at all, because now these kids might have a potential to be one of the greatest athletes in the world. Ask Cam Newton. He said, if I did not sit behind Tim Tebow, I would not be who I was, right? So now these kids who might have all the potential in the world to be something phenomenal, they gonna get the F out of there and they gonna play immediately, and their ceiling is gonna be so much lower. And it's not gonna matter to them because they've already made $500,000 and they're 20 years old. It's a problem, bro. It's a problem. How does a coach hold kids accountable to fulfill their duties? So this is where I would be messed up if I was a coach, right? I'm looking through both lenses. If I have this recruit that's coming to my school, 4-star, 5-star recruit, and I'm paying him upwards of $50,000 a month, $50,000 a month, and then he pulls out from the last 3 games because he gets benched. Julian Humphrey, cornerback for Georgia. This kid was a starter 8 games of the year, got benched and said deuces, and I paid him all this money. Where do I get that? I don't get that money back. I don't get no collateral for that. So now there needs to be some type of contract in place. Yes, son, you're changing your family's life. You're going to get all this money, but we going to get our money's worth, and you're going to play these damn games because you want to be a pro. Everybody wants to be a pro so bad. In the NFL, if you getting paid money and then they say you benched, you think you finna say, hey, I need to get traded. Ask Corey Coleman how that went. Ass ain't in the league no more. That shit gonna be done with quick, all right? So listen to me, y'all. College football, we have to make rules for the transfer portal and NIL. I understand that these kids are changing lives and making tons of money. I'm proud of them, bro. Like, I'm not hating because I once experienced the money. I love it. It's great for the business. But there has to be rules because right now it is the wild, wild west. And that shit is going to keep on getting real ugly. We got kids sitting out of being in college football 25 video game. All of us, and these kids are my age, so all of us grew up playing these games on the PS2, on the PS1. And you're telling me you have the point. It shouldn't even be about the motherfucking money. I'm sorry, it should not. It should not be about the money. You have a chance to be in a video game that lives in eternity. Your PS5, your Xbox will forever, ever be able to play this game as long as you plug it up. You can be 2-3 generations down the line. Your great grandkids can turn on your old PS5 and play with you on a game. And you got the nerve to say, I don't want to be in it because they're not paying enough? It's out of control, bro. It's out of control. We got to do something to fix it. I think there's positives, as you guys see, but I also think that there's a lot more negatives. You know, I think that at the same time, we're seeing, you know, teams that are rising up in college football rankings and stuff like that, which is awesome. But then don't be surprised if for the next 10 years, we have Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Ohio State. Then the next year we got Georgia, Bama, LSU. All the teams that got the most money and the most boosters is the ones that's going to get the best players and the ones that's going to win games. So those days of, I know y'all doing y'all little road to glory, those days of signing a 3-star athlete or a 2-star athlete and they blow your mind and turn into this freak that saves your program and has a game for the history books and has a season, like those days are got to be over, bro. Because nobody is going to, those kids who are those 3-stars are going to be on a team full of 3-stars, and they're going to be going against a team full of 5-stars, and they're going to get their ass whooped, and ain't going to be nobody popping off. So, need I say more? That is all my opinion. I know there's probably stuff I missed. If you guys like this video, let me know, and please tell me in the comment section your opinion on NIL and transfer portal. But let me know what you guys think. I'm going to try to get this video out tonight. So I think this should drop on December 17th, but for any reason, if it takes me forever editing, it's the 18th. I apologize, but yeah, man, I have been Martez. These are my takes on college football. Like I said, if you guys enjoy this, I can keep this coming. But that's all I got for you guys. You have a blessed day, and I will see you later. Deuces.